Hello, friends. So, I hope your week has started off well. I was gonna say good, but mine was just okay, and I want it to be much better than mine. So, we are back on Magic content again. However, we're gonna do a little shakeup, and it's gonna be really shit at first, but it's gonna be shit until we criticize ourselves and get better. So, what I mean by this is yesterday we played Legacy at our far locals, and a friend of mine recorded gameplay. An oversight on his part was that he did not focus. I've reviewed some of the footage. It's it's fuzzy, but you can tell what the cards are. So we're just gonna look at it. They're not very long. Legacy's not a very long format. Well, the games that are on footage aren't very long. But yeah, we're gonna watch the 3 rounds. They're pretty quick, and then gonna do some commentary, criticisms. I'll probably start to record my own videos. And then I will probably take some time to reflect on what I can do better to improve the videos, how to make it better to review on stream, some ideas I have bouncing around. It probably replaces my idea of throwing online tournaments being run. So if this content is better, we can do that. Maybe if I have more time on my hands, I could do both, but I don't. It's convocation season, so U of T is flooded with graduates that I need to make sure everything is in order and they're ready to graduate. So before we start this, uh, so I think the first game is probably the worst one, but I'm sure it'll be fine. It is gonna be like heads up. It is like crap quality. So yeah, I can't wait to see the last match. But we're gonna. I wonder what the best way of doing this is. This is all very ill prepared. I literally just stepped through my door and started the stream basically. So I didn't have time to download all the videos, so he has them all on a Google Drive. So I'm wondering if I can open it outside of the web browser. Mm, Let me see here. We'll get to you in a moment. Grab some popcorn. Were you able to watch the other games? I know I haven't been able to watch round one, at least, because that was my that was my control matchup that took me forever to play against. We went to time. Yeah. Um this. Wow. Okay. So hopefully it's not as fuzzy for you guys as it is for me. It's pretty low quality. It's not low quality actually. It's just fuzzy. It's just not focused. Um yeah, I think the later rounds get a little bit better, especially with the life counter. Um yeah. So let me see. I'm gonna put the volume down. We don't really need the volume. Okay, so I think round one, from what I remember, is Dave on Black Saga Storm, which is on the right. So we'll call him player two. And then Steven, who is on Mono Red Initiative. And I think it's the Andrea Mengucci list. It's like from a while ago. But it's the one with 12 initiative creatures. Let me see if I can pull it up while they're mulliganing. Uh, my Andrea Mengucci video. I think the only place I can find it is what's it called? YouTube. Do mono red. Vintage initiative, mono red Obosh, mono red. Nope. This is not what I'm looking for. Maybe he published an article. What am I doing? Drew Gucci, mono red initiative. Maybe winning legacy would help. Oh, I think this is it. Yeah, okay. I think this is it. I'll post it in the chat if you want to take a look at it. I'm pretty sure this is the list. I'm not sure if Steven has made any changes to it. I'm pretty sure everything's the same. He's still playing the Blood Boil Sorcerers. He's still playing the Stirring Bard. And then the 4 of the Disruptions and the 4 of the Fast Manas. Fast Manas. Okay, so it's extremely blurry, but if you can't tell, that is a Swamp into a Duress from Dave. And Steven reveals 2 Lotus Petals, Chalice, Blood Boil Sorcerer, and City of Traders. So he takes the Chalice, Storm Fears Chalice. Yeah, it's not focused at all. Most of the games are gonna be like this. That's a Chalice on 1 from Steven. Yeah, so don't worry. All the future videos will be much better. This was just the first time. We kind of set it up 5-10 minutes before tournament started, and no one thought to focus it. That's an Urza Saga into a Wishclaw Talisman, into Lion's Eye Diamond from Dave. So I think on Steven's side, he's played everything except for the Blood Boil Sorcerer here at the bottom. And he's just drawn a Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Yeah, so he just goes and plays the initiative creature, cracking both of those lotuses. So I think this is probably one of the better starts from Steven that he could have. He gets initiative quickly on the board, and he gets one of the initiative creatures that can attack, even though it's like pretty garbage. It's just a 3/3, but it's better than having the Bard, because he needs to apply pressure to Dave's life total. So Dave ticks up the Urza Saga to 2 counters. Most likely not on the make a dude plan, even though it's probably the strategy I would be going with now that the Chalice is on the board. But this deck doesn't really care about Chalice on 1. It really only hits Dark Ritual, I think. There's not many 1-of or 1-drop artifacts that the deck plays, unless it's through Urza's Saga. Yeah, unless Dave can storm off here, I think I would be going on the tokens plan just to like fight over the initiative and not let Steven run too far ahead. But it looks like he is going on the storm plan, because there's no reason to activate the Wishclaw Talisman unless you're trying to win now. So he's probably wishing. So here, this is probably the key part, is he wished. Oh, we can see where the game is ending. So he activated Wishclaw, holding priority. He's cracking these LEDs for 6 mana, which is ad nauseum. Yeah, in this matchup, you want a Chalice on 0, but because we've seen Dave play the Epic Storm and not Black Saga Storm, Steven probably just, Chalice on 1. Or Steven could be, playing Nice Guy and just acting like he doesn't know what Dave's on, but Dave's the Storm guy. Dave also could have been on... No, that's an incorrect guess. I was going to say Steven could have assumed that Dave is on Show and Tell, but Dave opened with turn 1 Duress and took the Chalice, and then he played Chalice on 1 again. So yeah, I think Steven was just being like kind of a nice guy. But yeah, here Dave's cracking both LEDs, holding priority with the tutor ability on the stack from the Wishclaw, and he's searching for most likely ad nauseum, because then he'll have 1 floating mana that he's now symbolized with that die. And I've unfortunately spoiled the end of the game, so it's probably or how long the video is. So it's probably the end of the game. That's another thing. I think when I'm doing the videos, if I'm like recording it on my own, I don't think I would break it up into like games 1, 2, and 3 if there's a third game, because you can kind of tell. I guess I would have to preemptively like edit it together of some sort. So I think he's on Stormcount 2, right? The Ad Nauseum and LED. And now he is Ad Nauseum. So that's Dark Ritual. Sorry, hold on. Maybe I should call this out because it's so goddamn blurry. First card is fuck, what's the name of it? Vault of Whispers? It's the black artifact land into Dark Ritual, into Thoughtseize, into Burning Wish, into another Wish Claw? No, Cabal Ritual. Cabal Therapy, Mox Opal, Mishra's Bauble, Thoughtseize. That's what card is this? Is this it's not Infernal Tutor, right? It can't be in it's not it can't be Vampiric or Demonic Tutor. Which tutor is this? I think this has to be the Infernal Tutor, right? I'm pretty sure this is Judge Infernal Tutor. Let's see here. Hey, how come Gatherer says it doesn't exist? Yes, that is Infernal Tutor. It's a Judge Infernal Tutor. Thank you, Jeffrey. Ancient Tomb, City of Traders, Vault of Whispers, Lion's Eye Diamond. He's got this. Mishra's Bauble, Lotus, Cabal, Mishra's, another Cabal Ritual. I guess I should say Therapy and Ritual. Another Thoughtseize, and this should be game, right? He has the Infernal Tutor. Does he have a discard outlet? Oh no, he has a Wish Claw. He has enough mana to. Oh, he has the LED. Yeah, so this is game. This is like easily the storm. Okay, so I said you could go on Urza's Saga plan, but he had the double LED. So double LED Wish Claws pretty much where you want to be. So he's just going through all the motions and everything. Don't know why he's probably doing it for Cabal Ritual. It's really strange. You could just crack the Lotus Petal and Mox Opal to play the Inferno Tutor, crack LED. I guess you still need all the mana to play the 4 mana tendrils. Yeah, so now he's just gonna tutor with the Wish Claw. And that's tendrils. So yeah, that is the end of that game. So we can go to game. I think this is their game 2. So Steven's most likely on the play. The best thing he could do is Chalice on 0, right? With his deck. It's either Chalice on 0 or like Blood Moon doesn't really do anything other than hit Urza Saga. So I don't think you really want a Blood Moon. You don't really care to Blood Moon. He could have just boarded them out too. See, this is why I didn't want to do like recordings and review like this, because you don't like it's good enough that we can kind of see what's in Steven's hands. Like he has right here. You can tell he has Caves of Chaos Adventurer, Simeon Spirit Guide, City of Traders, Chrome Mox, Fable. I think. I don't know what that middle card is. I think that's a Chalice, and he's thinking of bottoming another city. So it's like okay that we can still see kind of people's hands, but we also don't know like what like if they see cards off the top of the library, you don't get to see those. You don't get to see what they sideboarded. If I had deck lists, I could give opinions on what could be sideboarded and what's sideboarded in and out. But it's a Summoning Spirit Guide. Oh no, we knew about the Summoning Spirit Guide. So did we see a Chalice? I think we saw a Chalice. It's harder to see what's on Dave's side of the board, or Dave's side, especially because he plays like alternate arts or like judge foils, so I'm not really familiar with a lot of that stuff. So yeah, this is why this deck is very strong, especially with the Chalice on 0, because he can disrupt the majority of like he can disrupt Dave's game 1 game plan and then apply pressure, because now he has a 5/3 that becomes a 7/5, and then the next turn he like the turn after that he also like hits for 5. So he's basically hitting for like what 7/18 on turn 3 or 4. Yeah, so now the Caves of Chaos adventure is a 7/7/5. Now Dave is insisting that he uses the +1/+1 die that he has. There's another City of Traders on the top, and that is a lot of City of Traders. We see one on the top, or one in exile, one on the board, and one in the hand now. But I think Steven has all he needs. Because he has just another mountain in hand. There's a Vault of Whispers into Wishclaw, I think. Yeah, so bring Dave down to 1, and now he's dead next turn no matter what. Because oh no, he's done Forge already. So yeah, Steven's pretty much got this. He like Dave has the Wishclaw Talisman, and that's for the Storm part or Storm portion of his deck. And Dave can't really storm off because of the Chalice. So I think Steven just overplaying things just because he wants to play things. Doesn't really make a difference here. I think it's written in the stone. Set in stone? I think this is I don't think I know it's game 3. This is game 3. So he's gonna try and play through the Chalice with that Dark Ritual in hand. Storm players doing storm things. Show us what you got. That Storm count 1, 3 mana. Storm count 2 up to 5 mana. So I guess this is where Black Saga Storm lacks. Storm count 3. Storm count 4. He has 5. I think he has 5 floating black. Goes down to 4. So I think he tendrils just to heal here. I'm pretty sure that's a Tendrils of Agony. I can't really tell. Storm is 5, but he's draining for 8. Oh no, you count the original. Yeah, so the game is pretty much over. It's been over, let's be honest. So this is where the Black Saga Storm is just weaker. Is that once it's been like if you keep a hand and if you've chosen like plan A or plan B, which is plan A is Storm, plan B is went out with the Saga tokens. Um if like you have to decide which one you're gonna go. I think if you've kept a hand where you can slot into either or, that hand is probably weaker than choosing to mulligan for one of the strategies. So that's like a big core weakness of the deck. If if you choose one of the sides and one of that side gets disrupted, you're pretty much out of the game. Whereas like ad nauseum tendrils can go into like Ave, progenitor ooze, or it could even fight through like chalice. It's quite possible. Like it just digs for, or it digs or tutors for removal for the disruptive spell. And then Epic Storm is either just faster, it can set up for future turns, or it can go into the sideboard to get the necessary um, tool or storm card that they need to deal with the board with Burning Wish. So like here, Dave could have gone like empty the Warrens, but you just don't have that option with Black Saga Storm. I think Chalice on zero is like really, really hard to beat. Did we just watch game 3? That was game 2. Did we see this? Did we see this hand? I don't think we've seen this hand. So this hand is double Chalice, Blood Moon, Den of the Bugbear, double Cavern, Ancient Tomb. So this hand is a snap keep just because Dave cannot. Oh, Dave could technically deal with double Chalice. Surprised 2 of the top players. Yeah, are you talking about the 3K at face to face? If you're talking about the 3K at face to face, you have to remember that there was not a lot of prison. I don't think there was a ton of prison, because people were just excited that initiative was gone. I think it's just people that didn't have time. Like it was like a week before the ban was a week before the event, right? So I don't think people had time to adapt their decks into like proper form. So there's probably not like, but they weren't as strong. Played against 2 prison initiatives, but they weren't as strong. Yeah, like that was the automatic default, was take the prison pieces and just put initiative into it. But like again, those, like if you're playing initiative prison, those people could have just been like, hey, initiative is still strong. We choose to play initiative pieces over the disruptive pieces. Like, who knows? Like, I'm not saying it's an impossible matchup. Like again, if like in that last game, Dave, if like it seemed like he kept a storm hand. He was hoping to just turn 1 or turn 2 win, I think. But if you go, even if you go the like Urza Saga token route, it's bad because you can't, right? Like you would need to go first to dump your hand of artifacts, and then play your Urza Saga. You can't go Urza Saga first and then let them chalice on 0, because then you're like, unless he keeps this kind of hand and you can go Saga, you can just build up your Saga tokens, right? You could just, because he doesn't really play a ton of removal. He just has Furies, so he has to remove your tokens one at a time. And so now we're seeing Dave. Does he have triple duress or triple? He has to have triple hand disruption, right? He has triple duress. So he played duress, took chalice, played chrome mox, and put duress underneath, and then played another duress to take the second chalice, which is quite a hand. See, so like even 2 artifacts into Urza Saga is like not bad. But if he continues to try and do the storm route, I don't think he's set up. That's a Urza Saga. Yeah, see, Steven's like panicking now. No. Okay, so this is debatable. Because Dave knows about the Blood Moon, are there, so Steven has double Cavern. Does he have Sorry, I need to go back and see. Does he have a soul land? Okay, so this is debatable. So Steven has Cavern, Ancient Tomb, Den of the Bugbear, Blood Moon, right? Where were we here? I think we're here, right? So it's very debatable to play the Urza Saga into the Blood Moon. So he's basically sacked his Urza Saga to play the Haywire Might. But I think this is a bad play. Because you can play the Haywire Might off of the swamp. Because Steven doesn't know that Dave has the Urza Saga. If Steven tries to play the Blood Moon just because it's the only action card in his hand, like, I don't think Steven would play the Blood Moon if he didn't see Urza Saga. So if Dave does not play Urza Saga, let's say Urza Saga's not there, right? And Dave just slams Haywire Might, there's no way Steven plays Blood Moon. Because that gives Haywire Might just a free target. So I think because Dave plays the Urza Saga, Steven should immediately play the Blood Moon to blow up the Urza Saga. Because having a 4/4, facing down a 4/4 or a 3/3 or a construct is tough for Steven because he has no cards in hand. So I think this is a play error on Dave's part. Yeah, so there's the Blood Moon. It blows up the Urza Saga. Because we could have like been at a standstill, right? Dave could just be like, play Haywire Might. Steven doesn't want to play Blood Moon into just a Haywire Might for a swamp, right? So this means Haywire Might, as little as it is a 1/1, I think. It can just start chipping away, and you see what Dave can draw after that, right? So if some reason Steven randomly plays the Blood Moon, Haywire Might can eat it, and then you can play the Urza Saga. And then you've just like played a big threat that Steven needs to deal with. Yeah, so he knows about the two Cavern of Souls, which don't really do much here, just because Blood Moon is now on the battlefield. And there's no reason for Haywire Might to eat the Blood Moon now, because, like, who cares? Dave doesn't really care. It's turning off the Den of the Bugbear for Dave. Now Steven has to play Fair Magic and cast all of his spells for max mana. Why does Blood Moon bolt? Oh my. Okay. Okay, so there's a YouTube video. It is very, very confusing. In short, what Blood Moon does is it basically makes it so that it automatically completes all of the chapters, but the counters are not there, so you don't get any of the abilities. And because all of it, like all of the chapter abilities have finished, it immediately sacrifices itself. So due to state-based actions, once all of the chapters have completed, it is immediately removed. So there's no time to respond to anything. We could watch an entire video about this after this to explain the situation. It is extremely complicated and it is extremely convoluted, and it is like one of the worst like interactions that Wizards has come up with in a while, like a long time. But yes, it has to do with the fact that Urza Saga is no longer a saga, but it is still a saga land. Yeah, chew on dumb apples. So there's a Stirring Bard. I think that's Stirring Bard. Yeah, so what they're discussing now is because Blood Moon is on the battlefield, Steven doesn't actually name anything for um, Cavern of Souls. So these are just mountains. And then once Blood Moon is removed, they are just colorless lands. Urza Saga is an enchantment. No. You are correct. Urza Saga is an enchantment, but it is also a land. You still with us? We're on a roller coaster here, baby. You are fully correct in your beliefs. It is just also a land, a non-basic land. Now, this is a very weird decision for Dave. Okay, so it's because he's drawn another Urza Saga. Look at Dave trying to cheat, throwing his opponent's deck across because he made that fucked up misplay. Wait, is that a foil Haywire, mate? I need to get that off of him. Oh, so we see Trinisphere, Simian Spirit Guide off of the Undercity Scry 2. Draws Trinisphere, just nailing in the coffin of, hey, you can't storm. Doesn't that mean that Bro Elishnorn kills Urza Saga? Bro Elishnorn? What part of it? Is it Elishnorn? Machine Mummy? That's one, right? Mother of Machines? That's the Panharmonicon Torpor Orb, right? A permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger. That ability triggers an additional time. Permanents entering the battlefield don't cause abilities of permanents your opponent control to trigger. Yes, I think it would prevent it. I would need to see the text of saga. As this saga enters and after your draw step, add a lore counter. Yes. I think I need rules text on chapter abilities. MTG Saga rulings. Okay. As the saga enters the battlefield, its controller puts a lore counter on it. As your pre-combat main phase begins, immediately after your draw step, you put another lore counter on each saga you control. What? No. That means it would come in with two. This description is written poorly, but it conveys the same. Oh yes, because you can't do it during your no, it's correct. Putting a lore counter on a saga in either of these ways doesn't use the stack. Yes. Okay, so the action of putting a counter on it doesn't use the stack. Now I'm wondering, is the characteristic of the card when it gains the counter, does it trigger to gain the ability? So each symbol on the left of Urza Saga text box represents a chapter. A chapter ability is a triggered ability that triggers when a lore counter. Yes. Okay, this is a key part. So a chapter ability is a triggered ability that triggers when a lore counter that is put on the saga causes the number of lore counters on the saga to become equal to the ability's chapter number. So that in that entire block of text, once the uninteractable counter has been placed, that fulfills the requirements of triggering the land or the enchantment of gaining that ability. So yes. I don't does it? I don't think it immediately kills Urza Saga, does it? When does oh yes, okay, yes. It does immediately kill Urza Saga because from what I remember, the moment a saga no longer has lore counters on it, it must be sacrificed and it's considered completed. Wow, this is Pretty insane. That means so that means if you have Elish Norn and you play your own saga and it ticks up to no, it doesn't. Yeah, no, it doesn't. It doesn't do anything. So yes, Elish Norn will only kill. It acts kind of like a Blood Moon. If I'm understanding this correctly. What I was thinking was Elish Norn would double trigger the last ability, but that's not a permanent entering the battlefield. That's just it upticking its lore counter. So yes, I believe you are correct. Elish Norn is very similar to a Blood Moon. So just so we're clear, is there a description on when it resolves? Chapter abilities are put onto the stack and may be responded to. Don't care about that. This is describing the characteristics of the card. Each saga shows a story. Don't really care about story. All of them have vertical art. This is true. Nope. Okay. I'm not gonna go through all of the rules here. Once a chapter ability has triggered, the ability on the stack won't be affected if the saga gains or loses counters. Okay, that's whatever. If counters are removed from a saga, the appropriate chapter abilities will trigger again when the saga receives lore. Okay, so this is a big thing. When I was making a saga EDH deck, I thought that if I removed counters, it would trigger the previous ability immediately. This is not true. You only trigger the ability when counters are added, not subtracted. So this is very important as well. Once the number of lore counters on a saga is greater than or equal to the greatest number among its okay, so this is a key thing for Blood Moon. Should I just put this on the? I'll just put this over here. We're looking at the FTG wiki. Can you guys read this? I don't know if you can read this, but basically we are looking at this text, right? So once the number of lore counters on a saga is greater than or equal to the greatest number among its chapter abilities, the saga's controller sacrifices it as soon as its chapter ability has left the stack. Yeah. So this number could be 0 if the saga lost all of its native abilities. This state-based action does not use a stack. It is only sacrificed if it still has a number of lore counters equal to or greater than its final chapter. Yes. So because it enters and the greatest number, like let's say Blood Moon or Elish Norn are on the battlefield, it doesn't get counters. It will not have abilities. So that means the greatest number of abilities is 0. Which means its lore counters are equal to the number of abilities. It'll immediately sacrifice and think it's completed. So this is what's really confusing. Yeah? Cool? We're all good? Thanks for throwing me through that loop, Jefferson. Steven plays a Trinisphere, and what that does is all cards are now converted mana cost. Not are. All cards must be 3 mana. So if it is a 1 mana spell or a 2 mana spell, you must add 1 or 2 mana. So if it's like a blue red spell, you have to play blue red generic. If it's a lightning bolt, you have to play 1 red, 2 generic mana to cast it. So yeah, that's what Trinisphere does if you don't know. I'll explain everything now because Ophir's here, and it's fun explaining things. Down comes the City of Traders for Daverino. Yeah, unfortunately, you're watching extremely blurry Magic. Don't worry, next week it'll be better. Hopefully it'll be better. I won't say it will be better. Hopefully it will be better. So the question is, does Steven start swinging with this Den of the Bugbear now that he has red mana? So what Den of the Bugbear is it's 4 mana. You can make it a 3/2 creature with the ability of when it attacks, you create 2 1/1 goblins that are tapped and attacking. I'm pretty sure they stick around on the battlefield. Yeah. 4 mana for like 5 power, not bad. Repeatable. And it grows by 2 every turn. It's pretty good. I really like this card. I'm like, I was building a deck called Bomberman, where one of the infinite combos is to make infinite goblins with this thing. So the cool thing about this card is you can actually activate this card multiple times. So if you have, it's red 3 to activate it. If you can activate it, let's say twice, so you put 8 mana into it, you can, it still like animates it the first time, but you can pay it over and over again. So if you animate it first, then pay another 4 mana, it gains the ability of when it attacks again. So it has 2 separate instances. So one of the decks that I was creating was it creates infinite mana. You animate this and activate its ability infinite times, and you attack with infinite 1/1 goblins. The problem is this also has to attack. So it's very, very susceptible to like a Swords to Plowshare or even Lightning Bolt. Because if I activate it and then I try to go to my attack step, they can be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Before combat, we're going to blow that shit up. Which is why I stopped building the deck. Yeah, so this is what Steven does. Wow, it's only 1 goblin? Okay, never mind. This card's bad. This cards suck. I thought it was 2 1/1s. Maybe it's because I was playing with Ishin. Okay, if you can make it infinite, it's still like, I guess it's still pretty good, but like... So there's 2 constructs coming out of the Urza Saga. They are both 3/3s. The construct is 0/0 with the ability of it gets +1/+1 for every artifact you control. Which is pretty basic. Not basic, but, you know, pretty well known. So Urza Saga finds a Mishra's Bauble, makes both the constructs 4/4. That is a Vault of Whisper, which is an artifact land, making it 5/5. So City of Traders, strong land, taps for 2 mana, but the moment you play any other land when it's on the battlefield, you have to sacrifice the city. So strong ability, really, really bad drawback. Which is very important, because that will come into play game 3. So we're making another goblin, I think. No, that is the 4/1 skeleton from the Undercity. It's a 4/1 skeleton with Menace. And for those of you who don't speak Korean, that's Menace. So I think Steven has 3 Chrome Mox, a Lotus Petal in hand. Or that could be a Chalice. Is that a Chalice? I think it's 3 Chrome Mox. I think Steven is doing extremely well for having both of his Chalice stripped out of his hand and only drawing mana. That one initiative card is keeping him in the game right now, which is crazy. That is how strong. That is why initiative needed to be like nerfed. 100%. So this looks actually pretty good for Dave right now. Yep, we're gonna chump block. So Dave, I think Steven. Oh, that's big. 3rd Urza Saga. Wow. Okay. If Dave loses, holy. Okay, no, actually, this is also really big. So the last part of the Undercity says, so what Steven is doing right now is the last part of the Undercity, where you reveal the top 10 cards of your library, you choose any creature from among them, put it onto the battlefield with 3 +1/+1 counters on it, and it gains hexproof until the end of your next turn, right? Or until your next turn. So it gains hexproof for the turn, for the opponent's turn. Then once it comes your turn again, the hexproof is gone. So That's really big. So we're gonna see Steven probably pick up either um it's most likely gonna be another initiative creature. We're most likely gonna see him pick up another initiative creature. Fury is not great here because his artifact creatures are 5/5s. They don't really kill anything. So yeah, that's a Caves of Chaos Adventurer that Steven's holding, which gets much better now that he's completed the Undercity. So when Caves of Chaos Adventure attacks, exile the top card of your library. You may cast that card this turn, still to pay the mana cost. If you've completed the Undercity, you may cast it for free. And once it enters the battlefield, he goes into the dungeon again, or into the Undercity again. So that is why he's searching for a basic. Man, I know a lot of people hate initiative and that it's like incredibly busted, but honestly, I really like playing with it. The biggest downside to it is you have so many extra cards to carry. You need to carry your Undercity. You need to carry another Undercity for your opponent. You need an initiative token. You need a treasure token. You need a 4/1 skeleton. If the game goes long and you need make multiple of these tokens, you need to have multiples of these tokens. It is a drag. So there's a Blood Moon blowing up the third Urza Saga. Very well timed. I mean, can't really blame him. He dug 10 deep. It was really, if Dave wanted to get lucky there, he should have. No, don't crack the bomb. Oh no, that extra draw is not going to do anything. You want to keep that on the board for power, man. Because anything you want to increase your power now, it needs to, and you have to pay 3 mana for it. Like, was that draw really worth the? Like, they could be. How big could they be? They could be 6/6s, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the other Mercer's Bubble. Yeah, they could be 6/6s, and he could be swinging and then trying to fight for the initiative at least. Because Dave fighting for the initiative can also he could take the scry and eventually try to get a 4/1 menace and hope that he out creatures Steven. Or he could go Forge route and he forces Steven to block with his Caves of Chaos Adventure. I think the plan should have been to try and pump his tokens to become bigger so that his Caves of Chaos Adventure cannot compete with them. But his Caves of Chaos Adventure is a 10/6. So that's pretty big. A 10/6 with trample is very strong. But then again, like if the construct was a 6/6, you can block, right? You can block the caves if Steven tries to attack. And yes, so the artifact, the Vault of Whispers, even under Blood Moon, is still an artifact land. So Blood Moon affects everything before the hyphen on a land. So because um artifact is a super type and not a subtype, it even though it's non-basic, it is still a non-basic artifact mountain. Okay, this game is very like Dave could block this if he had the other Mishra's Bubble. If he drew the Mishra's Bubble off the Mishra's Bubble, like this is like this is why I want to keep track of hands, but because we're playing with like assumed information now. But yeah, like if Dave had had the constructs as a 6/6, yeah, he could stack like a 6/6 into the 10/6, but he would only be taking 3, and he doesn't have to fight 2 of them now. Like the other one could have fought this one, and he would have taken no damage. But that's giving up both of your power, right? Or both of your creatures. So even playing the Simian Spirit Guide just as another body, this is now just digging your grave deeper. You're digging yourself deeper. Yep. So he draws 2, 1 for turn, 1 for the bauble. Plays an Ancient Tomb. That is a mountain. And does he said go? I think he said go. So I think there's a Cabal Therapy, Burning Wish, and something else in Dave's hand. Can't really tell. But the Burning Wish actually, the Blood Moon gives him something to wish for. I think you would start with Cabal Therapy first, just to check what's in your opponent's hand. So this is gonna do nothing because everything costs 3. So unless Dave has a mana source, he can't do much. That is a Feed the Swarm, ladies and gentlemen. Is he feed swarming the Trinisphere that he cannot cast? Yeah, so now he's leaving his constructs instead of attackers. They are now blockers to try and keep him alive. I think he is now going to try and find a storm route with the few cards he has in his hand, which we know is Feed the Swarm, Cabal Therapy, and something else. So Cabal Therapy, if you don't know, is 1 mana or 1 black mana. Name a card. If your opponent reveals their hand and they discard any cards of the named thing, and then it has flashback where you can sacrifice a creature and you can cast it from your graveyard again, and then it gets exiled. So there's 6 damage coming at Dave. Okay, so this game's over. Dave has lost. So I don't think it's really hard to consider what Dave's done as misplays, because I don't know if he drew the bauble off the bubble. Let's see if we can try and see. Where was the bauble sack play? It was right here, right? So he had sacked the bauble already. So let's see if we can see what he can draw. So what does he have in his hand? Hey, tilt your hand a little bit further. Even if it was focused, I don't think I would be able to tell what that card is. Wait, did he draw already? Yeah, okay, sorry. Sorry, I'm skipping around a lot. Sorry, just so he's this is where he cracks the bauble. He looks at what the top is. So what does he draw first? So I think he drew Swamp. He drew Swamp off the top, right? So if he drew Swamp off the top, that means he had the bauble in hand? Or did he draw the bauble second? So I think that's Swamp. I think that's bauble. Okay, I think it's Ancient. Okay, so I don't think Dave misplayed here, if that is the assumption. Or if that's what I'm seeing correctly. So I don't think Dave misplayed. It was really tight. Looks like he drew bauble second. Yeah. So I think he had the Ancient Tomb. His draw for turn would have been Swamp, and then he drew the second bauble. Yeah, I think you're correct. So we will move on to... So our locals plays 3 rounds usually. So that was round 1, where Steven is the winner. Steven goes on to beat me round 2, because he's my absolute worst matchup. So this one is Hootie as player 1, and we have James as player 2 with the Enter the Battlefield mat. So James I haven't seen play before, but he seems like a regular. And he's a super nice guy. So Hootie is player 1 on, I believe it is America Control. I can't say that, can I? I have to name it what it is. Jeskai Control, which is red, white, blue, America. And then James is on blue, white, Delver. So a very classic deck, not using the Pyroblast. Or no, he might be on Jeskai Delver, if I remember. Yeah. So he said he hasn't been playing Legacy for a while, so... Or he hasn't played Legacy in a while just because he's busy on Sunday. Oh, nice guy Hootie tries to give us a look at the hand. But it's not only is it not focused, he kind of missed the mark. But we can tell he has... Right here is a Dress Down, which is a 2-mana enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, you draw a card. And it has the text, all creatures lose all abilities. Or all creatures have no abilities. And then you sack it at the beginning of the next end step. Then we have a Brainstorm. Then we have a Hull Breacher. Then we have a Caracas. We don't know what's underneath Caracas. No, so yeah, so the white card is a Caracas. It's not a plane. So Caracas is a legendary land where it has the ability to produce one white mana. And then you can also tap it, like just tap it, and then you can return a target legendary creature to its owner's hand. Underneath, I don't know what it is, and then it's Volcanic Island, and then I believe it's a basic island as the last card. So maybe he does like a little hand shuffle, and we can see what the seventh card is. That's an yep. There's an island on the bottom there. Yeah, the ETB mat looks really cool. James heavily missing the mark there, but we appreciate the effort. These guys know. These guys playing to the crowd. James starts with Island. That looks like a Pokemon energy into Delver. Extremely strong start. This is where you want to be. He does not trigger the ability. Plays the island that I believe he drew. Attacks for 1. Yep, life counter, boys. These guys know. Hey, there's a little cheating going on there, eh? Why is James at 19? Excuse me, sir? Did we catch a cheat? Hootie's saving 1 life? That is a flooded strand, I believe. Delver is the transform into 3/2 flyer if you reveal an instant. Yes. So at the beginning of your upkeep, if you may choose to reveal. Sorry, at the beginning of your upkeep, you may look at the top card of your library. You may choose to reveal it. If the revealed card is an instant or sorcery, it transforms, and its flip side is a 3/2 flyer. So very strong. Hootie should be at 18. Okay, life totals are now corrected. James fetches a black border tundra. I don't believe it is a proxy, so I think it is either. I'm pretty sure it's a foreign black border. Still very pricey. They're like $1,200. But yeah, that is spicy. Very impressive. Very happy. He hardcasts Sword of Fire and Ice. In response, Hootie plays Brainstorm. I think he's digging for a blue card to Force of Will. Rich people? I mean, he could have had it from before. I feel like James has been playing for a long time and he's just had them for a long time. Because Blue White Delver is just a very old archetype. It's from like 2017, 2018. Did he start with a Force of Will? Was his opening hand? Okay, so we're at 247. Did we see? I'm pretty sure he started with a Force of Will, did he not? Oh no, it was Dress Down. Yes. So Hootie has brainstormed into the Force of Will. This is why Brainstorm is extremely strong. So I think Hootie does want to fight over this just because Sword of Fire and Ice gives James such a card advantage, and it increases the clock extremely quickly on Hootie. So Hootie's known to just almost always draw the answer, which this is like video evidence that he draws the answers. Yeah, there's a Force of Will. Probably pitch, yeah, the Dress Down. Not really doing anything here. Wow! It just occurred to me. Okay, that's. I'll mention it later if it ever pops up. But because I know James, I played against James and I know what he plays. Something very cool just occurred to me. Man, no one likes cutting, eh? So Hootie draws Supreme Verdict, slaps down the most cheaty card printed in recently. That's small, like 3 mana Teferi Time Raveler. So extremely busted because your opponents can only play at sorcery speed. He allows you to play your sorceries at instant speed, and he can bounce creatures, artifacts, and enchantments to draw a card. There's a Wasteland. Yeah, get that out of my face. Wasted. I don't think you want to Wasteland the Tundra. Like you could. Okay, so this is what I okay. I didn't know he would play this turn, but like, this is the cool thing. Also, this is really bad mana tapping right now. So, True Nemesis enters the battlefield. It is a double blue 1 Merfolk. I think it's a Merfolk Rogue actually, but it is a 3/1, and it says as it enters the battlefield, you choose one opponent. It gains protection from that opponent. So that opponent cannot target it, cannot damage it, cannot like I think it cannot be can't be targeted, cannot be damaged by, and it can't be like yeah. It is there's one thing it has protection from basically. Yeah. It is an extremely good card. So if you can tell, like this is like a very classic strategy where you play the True Name Nemesis, and if he was able to land the sword, every turn he would be hitting for 5 damage, right? Plus 2, so 7, and then drawing a card. So Teferi ticks up. Hey, thanks, Dave. That's Dave, right? Hey, Dave, we critiqued your match already. You got fucked. Yeah, I don't think James cares about this Caracas. Blowing up the Tundra, I assume. The Supreme Verdict does destroy the True Name Nemesis. It didn't occur to me that Dave played 2 prison decks on Sunday. That's rough. Did he play 2 prison decks? What was the second prison deck? He played Stefan or Steven the first round. Oh, you played against him? I have no idea. Did you play against him round 2? You know, like I think that's our meta here at Enter the Battlefield though, is like we have a lot of prison players. So that's cracking a Scalding Tarn. Or looks like a foreign black border volcanic island. I'm so jelly. It looks so good. I do have to admit though, searching for white borders when I fetch is like really, really convenient. I like they're the whenever I need to fetch for a duel, I just look for the white border. Is that marking cards? Does that count as cheating? Wow, this Delver, he is as much bad luck as I do, man. That is also a lot of lands. Not using this real estate well right here, eh? Not a lot going on here. Attacking Teferi? Yep. Whoa, straight into the Hull Breacher. So it's a flash 3/2, another Merfolk Rogue, or a Merfolk Pirate maybe. But if you were to draw any card outside of your draw step, you do not, and your opponent gains a treasure instead. Another extremely good card. What is this? Is this Humility? Isn't Humility double white? Oh, he has double white. Why is he targeting Teferi? Is this is this Humility? What is he doing? What is this? What are they talking about? Hold on. Let me go back. Sorry. I need to hear what they're saying. Oh, is this a prismatic omen? Or ending? Is this prismatic ending? Is this a retro border prismatic ending? I play with them, but I don't know what the artwork looks like. Prismatic ending. Retro. Oh, it is. It kind of looks like it. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a prismatic ending. So James has tapped 4 mana So I think what Hootie is now correcting him is the the one white mana required counts towards the converge. Yes. Okay. This is prismatic ending, and now the way Hootie's point. What a snake! This guy. Okay. Wait. I need to review the tapes. Hootie is a snake. Look at this. He intentionally points at basic planes and then the two dual lands, so that James will not tap. Like it'll leave James with less colors. So we like this is very minuscule, but this is how he plays with your mind. Okay, he's a tricks. He's a sneaky snake. So make sure you don't arena tap, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you tap correctly for your colors, and make sure you leave your options open. Ay ay ay. Ay 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 ay. So look, like let's say for example, James had a lightning bolt or a swords to plowshare, something, something that's not blue. He's tapped his mana in a way where he could have left either red or white open by using one of the islands for blue instead of one of the tundra or the volcanic island. Sneaky boy. This is the percentage points. This is where he gets you. Ponder from Hootie. No idea what he's seeing on the top. Volcanic Island plains something. Draws. What is it? What is it? Oh, it's a Narset. Yikes. I guess, like, not as critical as it should be because the Hull Breacher's already out. Narset comes down, can dig for another card. James running out of answers. We are not in an expressive iteration meta anymore, so hard to get card advantage. So this is a really rough situation for James, our friend, our hero James. No threats, has seen no counter magic from his side. That's one big thing. We haven't seen any counter magic from him. We've only seen like targeted removal. There's a brainstorm, but Hull Breacher should stop it. Yeah, and he's they're going to the next game. Okay. So this is one of the things where or this is one of the instances where we can just skip through. Actually, we can see what they board, right? There's a Pyroblast. I think that's a Savine's Reclamation. So, how many cards are coming in for Hootie? Sorry. There's Pyroblast, and I think it's a Savine's Reclamation. So I think he's taken double Pyroblast, Savine's Reclamation. He takes out Force of Will and Dress Down. I think he might have taken double Dress Downs out. I think you take out a Supreme Verdict, right? Force of Negation? That's like a debatable call. Another Force of Negation? Wait, did he take out too many cards? I thought he took out 2 cards already. I'm not even paying attention to James. It's really hard of an angle to see the player 2 side. It looks like he's boarding in 2 cards. Yeah, so he's taken out Force of Will, Dress Down, double Force of Negation. So I might have misseen. He could have boarded in a 4th card, but it's hard to tell. But we know for sure he brought in 2 Pyroblasts and fuck, what was the last card that I said that he might have boarded in? I think it's a Savine's Reclamation. I don't think you would ever play more than one Savine's Reclamation. I'm really curious to know if that's the card that he's boarding in. Cleaning his mat. His sleeves are oh so dirty. Hey, Surnoms. Long time no speak. It is a lazy stream. Yay! We've been back at it for about a month now, I think. Might have been longer than a month actually. Oh, hey, thanks. I don't know what those are. No, we love bits. We love bits. What I don't know what a bit is. Is it 1 cent? Thanks for the 1 cent, man. We love bits. Yay, we love bits. Woo! All right. Um, hard to see what people have. James showing a flooded strand. Hootie mulliganing to 6. It looks like. Okay, whoa. Hey, James, bring it back here, buddy. Let me see. Flooded strand. What the fuck am I looking at? What am I looking at? Flooded strand, ponder, force of will. Maybe 2 swords to plowshares and a wasteland. I think. So I think this is James's hand. From top to bottom. Flooded strand, swords to plowshare, ponder, force of will, swords to plowshare, wasteland, force of will. Yeah. We gotta get better at knowing where the lens of a camera is, guys. I guess it is kind of hard to see because you don't know exactly where the lens is pointing or if it's been zoomed in or out. But, you know, thanks for trying, guys. We gotta appreciate it. All right. Oh my god, that was blinding. All right. So I think we have to get it right here. So we for sure know that there's a Narset Snapcaster, Swords to Plowshare, Teferi, and a Mystic Sanctuary, but we don't know what card is underneath the Mystic Sanctuary. Yeah. So we think we know the entirety of James's hand. We just don't know who these. Oh, okay. We almost know the entirety of James's hand. So he plays the Flooded Strand for turn, cracks for a island. Ba-ba-ba-ba. Curious to know what the 5th or 6th card in Hootie's hand is. There's a turn 1 Ponder, one of the best plays you can absolutely make. What is this? Okay, so this is the Magic tournament we played yesterday. It was a small local event, and my friends and the legacy, like the Magic Legacy Toronto group, want to start making YouTube videos and stuff. So our friend Wave Boy over here, decided to wait. I pressed it. Oh, feature thing that just popped up. I think it's because you donated something, right? Yeah. You're at the top of the scoreboard. Sorry, I didn't realize what you were talking about. You're the best. I think that's actually the only way you can donate to me right now, other than like subs. I don't know how to do donations. Oh, so James top decks a wasteland. Blow up his land. Do it. Do it to him. Do him dirty. Blow up his wasteland, or blow up his Mystic Sanctuary. Yeah, yeah. Eat dicks. There's a ponder. Oh, I was hoping that was a threat. Oh, Hootie hand shuffling. Maybe we could have got a glimpse of what he has going on over there. Yeah, fuck your lands, man. That's why we play Wastelands, baby. So he ponders, draws a brainstorm off the ponder. There's a scalding tarn. Look at him. It's so droll. Your turn. Go ahead, sir. Play land, go. Tundra Pass. Okay, so this is one of the big things about Delver that I really hate, is that it even had this problem before Expressive Iteration got banned. Is it's very like, is the word dichotomous? It's very like, because it's so good at aggro and it's so good at control and it's so good at doing both, but you get like locked into these situations, or you keep these hands where you do one or the other. And if you do, like, it's the opposite of Dave's deck, right? So we explained earlier that Dave's deck can do plan A or plan B, which plan A is storm and combo off and kill like really quickly, or you can lean into it and plan B and use Karnstruct tokens, and you can just beat them down with big massive creatures. So we explained that choosing one of the paths in your opening hand is probably better than trying to do a mixture of both, right? Because you're just hamstringing yourself into like a shittier version of both strategies, right? Delver is kind of the opposite. Delver is really good at being aggressive. It's really good at being control-y too. And it's really good at just disrupting your opponent and interacting with you while creating a clock. So in this sense, is you want to have a mixture of both with Delver. So instead of doing control strategy or aggro strategy, you kind of want to do plant a threat and then disrupt your opponent while protecting that threat while it's killing your opponent, right? This was also explained last week where you saw my abysmal showing of playing Delver. So here we're seeing the awkward style of leaning really hard into control from James's side, where he's done really well, right? He's ahead on lands, he's ahead on cards, but he's not doing anything, right? He needs to find a threat very quickly and be able to protect it. Another thing that I've noticed is he might not be playing Murktide Regent. So if you see his graveyard, like this is where Murktide Regent shines, right? So there, Murktide Regent is a 7 mana, double blue 5, where you can, it has Delve. So it's a flying 3/3, but it has Delve, which means you can exile cards from your graveyard to help pay for its mana cost. So for every instant of sorcery that's left the graveyard while casting it, you get strong. It gets stronger. So for example, Dave has, or not Dave, James has land, and then Ponder, Ponder, Brainstorm, which are 3 instants or sorceries. If he played a Murktide with double blue, this would be exactly 7, right? So if he played it, he would have a 6/6 flyer that can just start beating in. But I don't think James has updated his list to have Murktide, which means he's very light on threats. There's another Swords to Plowshares. There's a Wasteland. Hootie now playing around the Wastelands. Good for him. I think it's his only options, though. He's got a Scalding Tarn. So Hootie's in no rush at all. He's actually in probably a better position than James, because he's exhausted less resources, he's used less cantrips, and they're still at the same point, right? James is not threatening anything. One of James's lands essentially does nothing. Okay, so that will blow up a volcanic island from the wasteland, but now Hootie plays a huge threat here, which is Narset. Because James has opted to go the control route, his cantrips are now absolute dog water if this resolves. And he spends double force. I don't think that's where you want to be, especially with the number of cards in your hand. Honestly, if you're playing the slow route here, you might actually just let it resolve. We see that there's a prismatic ending in James's hand. He could probably just prismatic ending it eventually with his mana base. But yeah, ditching like your second free counterspell is really big there for Hootie. Like he's now no longer afraid, I don't think. Because the likeliness of how, like, he's played he's shown the double Force of Wills really early. So what's the likeliness that he'll have a third one, right? So yeah. Now James is just playing a worse version of Hootie's deck. Because James has no threats whatsoever, and he's used the Force of Wills to deal with a not so threatening threat where he could have used it as protection. And that is another wasteland. Wow. The Pithing Needle most likely naming Teferi, so he can no longer use Teferi's activated abilities. The thing is, like, Pithing Needle doesn't really deal with Teferi the way you want it to. It's really awkward. I think he's trying to bait it. So this was a really awkward interaction. I'm not really sure what happened here. Like, you play the Pithing Needle, and you name Teferi, so what you've turned off effectively is letting you play sorceries at instant speed, and then bouncing artifacts, creatures, and enchantments. You know he's playing Blue-White Delver. There's no enchantments in the deck. Like, he's played no creature threats, but you're playing control. So you most likely, like, you could have used the Prismatic Ending on one of James's threats, right? Mainly Delver. Because you can't target True Name with either of them, so they're effectively the same. So you'd only use it on Delver, right? So the last thing you bounce is artifacts, which the most threatening artifacts would be a Sword of Fire and Ice that we've seen so far from James. I think this is a misplay. Like, the Prismatic Ending, like, sure, it sets James back, but he doesn't gain anything from playing the Pithing Needle. He doesn't, like, it doesn't. The big thing about Teferi is that he wins the counterspell war for you, right? And you don't shut that off with Pithing Needle because it's a static ability. So honestly, I probably wouldn't have cast a Prismatic Ending. It's kind of a waste of a spell. Like, if you were struggling to cast cards for some reason, I think you cast it just to get a card out of your hand, but I think this was a misplay. There's a flooded strand for James. Now he's just flooding out. It seems like his deck is way more control than what a typical Delver should be. His style of deck. This is the Murktide Regent now. James hasn't done anything either. No, well that was my big point, right? To be fair, like, sure, it might be like, it might sound like I'm trying to nitpick Hootie, but I've already commented that James has done absolutely nothing and that he's been losing, like, for a long time now. Like, since very early. Like, before James blew up the volcanic island, James was losing. Yeah. So now, like, this is where James would have benefited much more if he could update his deck. So I think he could really use the Murktide Regents. Probably knows that he has nothing in his hand. Like Hootie? But even then, like, firing off a, like, that's just been practicing bad magic. And I am not a I'm not a proponent of practicing bad magic. Like, playing a card just to play a card is bad magic. You should not be doing that. Like, it's like a fighting game. Every action you take should have a reason. Because that's where, like, that was before, like, when I was explaining how Hootie plays mind games with you by pointing out which lands you should be tapping when they're incorrect, and then you tap those lands. He's now gained percentage points, right? Yeah, so if he let the, so this is another thing, right? Like, James Force of Will the Narset, he hasn't drawn additional cards, so Narset would have practically done nothing if it was still on the board. And if he had the Force of Will, he could have Force of Will the Teferi, and then he probably could have participated in this counter war. Protecting Teferi essentially does the same thing as Prismatic. But that's the thing, you're not protecting Teferi by like blowing up the Pithy Needle. But it's not free because what if like that means you would have to tick down to deal with a creature instead of just exiling it, and then they still have a like a creature in hand. It's not free. Like you lose out on like it's very minuscule, but you lose out on your percentage points. Prismatic, you have to use mana. Yeah, but the point is he will still have it. The point is that he didn't need to use it. There was no like if there was an advantage meter, playing that prismatic ending would have just lost Hootie like advantage because he's just spent a removal spell on something that he didn't need to spend it on. He just it's like wasting resources. You don't think so? Like what is he gonna bounce with the Teferi? He's just gonna plus it? Like he's just been plussing it. It doesn't do anything. Like you like in this matchup, it doesn't really matter because it's mainly there for the static ability. It's to make sure that Delver can't play a threat and then also protect it. Does that make sense? I hope that's coming across. Like, yeah. There's a Swords of Plowshares to the Murktide. Being able to so okay, this is another point. It's not. I don't think it is. Right? The only reason it would be beneficial to uptick Teferi is if James had a creature threatening to kill Teferi. You can get 2 uses off. Okay, but the point is he doesn't have anything to bounce, right? And anything that you do bounce, you can just remove with the prismatic ending because you haven't seen James play Murktide Regent, right? And then in that case, if James plays Murktide Regent, you prismatic the Pithy Needle then and then bounce it, right? And then now that Teferi's free, you can win Counterspell Wars. Like sure, protecting you, like getting rid of the like, because like you can get rid of the Pithy Needle, sure, but he didn't need to do it then, and now he's wasted a removal spell. What if like he played Sword of Fire and Ice or something else, right? Honestly, like this Teferi is only like he's ticked up but casts no sorceries at instant speed. Like it's not been useful. But that's my point. He still has like the Pithy Needle isn't a removal spell. It's not like a Ring of Oblivion or anything, right? It's still there. The static ability is still there. Its primary use is still there. The only plus is you would have a hard removal spell in your hand that you could use later on. There's a red. Oh, so that's also what he boarded in is Red Elemental Blast. That was probably the 4th card that we saw. So now he's put it on top. Hootie Ponders. All right, that's your opinion. But I'm telling you, if like in this position, there'd be a Pithy Needle on the board, Teferi would be at 4 loyalty, and Hootie would still have a prismatic ending. In the end, Teferi has accomplished everything, but Hootie would be up a removal spell. Do you think he wasn't thinking straight? I mean, no, I think Hootie was just like firing off a spell to do something. I mean, he probably has the same viewpoint as Jeff does, right? Like this is just a difference in like play pattern and play. I could also like be way off, right? Hootie has way more experience playing, but I don't know. I also do have privileged knowledge of like seeing James's side of the board. So like this isn't like this is the instance where I'm like talking about. This is really like nice timing because you now have to like downtick Teferi to deal with this artifact, but it doesn't exile it. It puts it back into his hand. So if you continue to do like, let's say he just plays land go, and he starts just top decking lands, and he doesn't have an answer to this, and Teferi just bounces it over and over again, and you're just drawing cards. Like James can still just keep playing it over and over again, right? He's now at the point where he can play Equip, right? Whereas a prismatic ending would just exile this for 3. And James cannot counter it because Teferi is here and there's a Pithing Needle on it. I do have to admit though, like playing the control mirror is like extremely mentally taxing, especially if it's 2 blue control decks. There's an Narset. I don't think it matters at this point. I think James has cast like a ton of cantrips and he's past the point of. Oh, it does shut down the Sword of Fire and Ice. There's a classic counter spell. You also know, like, if you haven't seen the Murktide yet, like nothing is more than 3 mana. So Hootie can exile anything up to 3 mana. That's a non-land permanent with the prismatic ending. So I think this is where he fetches for a red source to try and deal with the Sophie. I think Sophie can hit. Oh, does he not? Oh, it's a Swords to Plowshare. Yeah, so you Swords to Plowshare the Delver. This is also another thing. You don't have to spend a Swords to Plowshare on a Delver when you can also Prismatic Ending it. But you'd obviously Prismatic Ending the non-creature spell and then just use the sword on the creature. Yeah, so now Hootie's just ticking up to Fairy. Like, it's not really doing anything effective. Because it's not like you can bounce multiple things a turn, right? Like, if he doesn't have, like, let's say Hootie had no hand. Like, let's say Hootie was in, like, a way worse position, right? And he just had Teferi note and, like, 1 card in hand, maybe. James could just Prismatic Ending the Teferi, and that's no problem. Right? He needs to get rid of the static effect. He doesn't really care about the other 2 abilities. Yeah, there's a Flash Days Undoing. James only draws 1 card. Hootie draws 7, and this is writing on the walls. Is he scooping? This looks like a scoop. So I think that's the end. Yep. So Hootie wins in 2. So I think that was just like a classic, not a classic match, but like you see how strong new cards are. But this is weird because he's playing prismatic. Like James is playing prismatic ending, but no Murktides. It might be like a financial issue, but we play with proxies, so I'm not entirely sure what would be preventing the Murktide option. Maybe he just didn't think of it. Not saying that you need Murktide in that type of list, it just makes it so much better. So now we have Satellite Heated Toast versus Stefan. So Satellite Heated Toast on Mono Red Prison, and Stefan on Reanimator, I think, because he was dissing his Death and Taxes. So this is Blood Sun. Huh. Basically, it leaves all mana abilities, and then it takes away all other abilities, if I remember this correctly. And he also draws a card, which is why it's 3 mana. So it is a cantrip. A 3 mana cantrip. So that's a Shatter Skull smashing underneath the Chromox. So now City of Traders does not sacrifice itself. There's a Grief coming from Stefan, definitely on Reanimator. So there's Is that a taiga? No, there's no reason for green. Mountain, Karn, Lotus Field, Mountain. Oh, hiccups. So I did watch this game previously. This was very unfortunate. So what is coming out of Stefan now? So I think the biggest reason you Satellite Heated Toast um brought this up was the majority of decks, because there's brainstorm in the format, majority of decks play fetch lands. And they can no longer fetch with Blood Sun out. It is a land that literally does nothing other than be on the board. So I think this is what's like, especially with Reanimator, if we go to like MTG Goldfish real quick, how many fetch lands does an average Reanimator deck play? Do we have averages here? So out of 14 lands, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. Out of 14 lands, 9 of them are fetch lands. Did I count that right? 8. 1, 2, 3, 7, 8. 8 of them are fetch lands. So still just above half, which is still kind of low. But when only 7, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, depending on the version Stefan is playing or his tweaked version, yeah, probably 4 or 5 lands only tap for mana. So what are you gonna do? There's our Reanimate on the Grief. Not able to take anything. Losing 4 life. But it puts a threat onto the board. I think this is the goal. He sees that Jeffrey's not... He's got no options here. So, yes. So Lotus Field, because of the Blood Sun, it no longer has the ETB ability, which is it no longer enters the battlefield tapped, and you no longer have to sacrifice 2 lands when it enters, but it also loses hexproof. But it doesn't really matter because wastelands have no abilities other than tap for 1. So there's a Verdant Catacomb that does nothing. And now we start the beats. There's a mountain. Just beat down every turn. Another snow-covered mountain into Trinisphere. Yeah, so if you want to play anything, no. But Stefan still has a threat. There's a scrubland. So he has 1 mana out of 2 lands. Whereas Jeffrey has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana. And there's a Chalice. So I brought this up to him before, so he now knows. Chalice, even though X is 1, still needs to be 3 mana. And these were not untapped. So yes. So you still declare X, and then you still pay the additional 1. So once you declare X as 1, it'll be converted mana cost 2, and then you would add 1 more off the Trinisphere. I think that's... I'm pretty sure that's the layers. 2 mana from Stefan. That's an animate dead in the hand. With nothing in the graveyard. Get in for 3. Dangerously low. That's another Blood Sun. That's another land. This is gonna cantrip. Is that another land? Man, how much mana is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Holy shit, you can cast Ulamog. Damn. That's a lot of mana. There's another Grief. And that's another Lotus Field. Holy smokes. Alright, Heart of the Cards here. No, 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 no. Whoa, 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 whoa. That's not a Blood Moon, sir. I don't think it matters, but they caught it. It's fine. Oh my god, that was another Chromux. Wow, that was a lot of mana. Wow, wow, wow. So this is a different mono red prison. It's not Dragon Stompy. He's playing Chandra's. And we've seen it go off before, and it gets pretty wacky when it goes off. There are good Chandra's, though. Like, we see Awakened Inferno. There's Fables, Shatter Skull Smashing, Torch of Defiance, right on the top. And there's no way we see what Stefan's boarding. It's just, again, the camera angle. Ah, Stefan says, I assume you're playing Painter. Yeah, you think you're playing Painter? Oh. Maybe? Who knows? There's an Ensnaring Bridge that we see. There's Ensnaring Bridge and something else. That's a sideways card, I think. Okay, we're going off the deep end. I have no idea. Should we collect deck lists for next time? I don't think so. Honestly, if we do record, any of the matches that do get recorded, we could probably just like singly just ask them if we can have like a list on Discord or something. I think the more we ask for list submission, like at the locals. Oh, I know it's you. I saw you follow me on Instagram. I put it together. But yeah, I think the more you make it like a like comp REL, the less people be inclined to do it, I think. So I think only the people that are on feature match for that week, we can ask them if they want to provide a deck list. If not, like it's just a little extra thing. But, you know. Like it's still good. I already thought about that. Yeah. So I think this setup would be fine at Cardboard Classics. It takes up one table. So I think if we ask them beforehand and they're able to clear up a spot, I think it would be fine. I think at on Sunday I'll bring my own setup. Or we can also bring yours too. Like your tripod and everything. But I'm thinking because it's such an awkward angle where we have the camera pointing down. Does your Nikon have a flip screen? Let me see if I can find something that I'm talking. Okay. Uh, it does not sound. Yeah. Okay. So, I think I'll just bring my camera. Um, we could still probably use the same tripod. I'll also bring a tripod if you want me to. But if there's a flip screen, it's easier to focus. But if I bring my setup to ETB, we could just focus everything on OBS. Because I have everything set up on my laptop and I can just connect my camera and record off of OBS and just use the camera like a webcam. I kind of want to build like an overhead rig, honestly. I think an overhead rig, like what I was originally thinking was just like if you wanted to take an end table, you'd make one leg longer than the other, so like almost like a hangman shape, so that one leg is resting on the table and one hits the floor. Because the problem is if you have it on the table and the table isn't sturdy, it's gonna like shake a lot, and I don't have any stabilizers. So that would be one issue. But having it just like sit on the table and just go overhead, it takes up I think way less room. It takes up way less room than I initially thought. Because this took up a lot less room than I initially thought. The way you had it set it up this past weekend. Yeah, because like if you can focus everything through the computer screen, it you can see what it actually looks like when I actually start streaming. Or if you want to edit it, you can edit it as well. It's a lot easier. The only problem is I don't have any way of mounting like an actual camera onto like a DIY um overhead camera rig. Do you know what's actually very convenient? Across the street from Enter the Battlefield is Henry's, which is a camera and videography um retailer. I was thinking about maybe like because I bought what did I buy? I bought something like this. It was very similar to this. It's like a tripod, but it's like a little dinky one that I used for face cams when I was doing like my in-person Magic streams during the pandemic. I think with Johan. I was with Johan and we were playing modern. So I bought like two like there's like a I just bought the mount part because I had like another camera arm or desk mounted camera arm. So Henry's is pretty cool. I'll probably check it out after like Enter the Battlefield because I'll have more time this week. So there's a chalice on turn one from Jeffrey. Sorry. Did they do mulligans? I didn't see. I wasn't. I was very distracted and I didn't see mulligans. But this shouldn't be too problematic for Stefan. It just stops a few of the enablers. Floats 2 mana, 3 mana. Fable of the Mirror Rigger. Goblin token. Badlands, Scrublands. 3 mana? 3 mana? What does he need 3 mana for? Wear Tear? Fused? Oh, wow. He blew that. That sucks. Oh, that's rough. All right, so you're at 3 mana again. There's a treasure into Trinisphere. All right, so this is a little better. However, Stefan's still at 2 mana, so if he drops a land, he's doing pretty well. Yep. So it's not looking good for the prison. Two big, powerful cards just fucked up by one man. Wear Tear is such a fucked up card. I can't believe one side. I can't believe it costs 3 in total. That's messed up. It's so messed up. Fuse cards are weird. I don't know how that interacts. If you cast just the 1-drop side, does it counter it from the chalice on one? Because I think fuse cards, if you fuse it, it takes the total converted mana cost, right? It doesn't view them as equal. Wow, 3 mana for a Faithless Looting. Is that flashbacked? Is that a bad joke? Dang, 6 mana to cast Faithless Looting twice. Yeesh. Dump Dark Ritual, dump Gristlebrand. Mountain. Attack, get a treasure. 4 mana? Karn. What are you grabbing? Is it a liquid metal coating? If you grab a liquid metal coating, it might be a little slow though, because you can't cast it here. If you could Tormod's. Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so it stops his reanimation spell on Gristlebrand. Okay, this is like not looking too bad. Another land for Stefan, so he's flooding out, maybe? Oh no! Serenity! 2 mana enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you destroy all artifacts and enchantments on the battlefield. So it blows up the Trinisphere and it forces him to use the Tormod's Crit. Okay, this is actually not bad. I don't think this is terrible because he still has the card in play. And he can still make treasures with the Goblin. So there's 1 card in hand. Man. So that's 2 big sideboard cards Stefan has Stefan's drawn and played. Wow. Is there any way for him to stop the Serenity? Because I think he's leaning on this Trinisphere, right? I don't know the 2 cards in his hand. Uh, but no matter what, the Tormod's Crypt is being popped here, I think. So there's a Pithing Needle in the sideboard. Kind of hard to tell. Wonder what math he's doing. He's doing treasure math, right? Down to Karn. But you can't play whatever you get from Karn, right? So if you... Oh, that's like a divider. Okay. So if you plus Karn, make Trinisphere into a 3/3, and you attack for 5, it doesn't really do anything, but the Trinisphere is going to get blown up anyway. Whatever you get off the Karn, you can't cast. So I think if we look to see what he gets, I don't know what's in the board. Like, because whatever you get, you just can't cast it, right? Because it's an artifact and Serenity's going to blow it up. Okay, so he gets a liquid metal coating. So if you plus on the Karn to try and get damage in, this is just a really bad situation because it's like Serenity was just a fucking like rip of a top deck. Like any card, like it's not just Serenity, right? Like the Tormod's Crypt is gonna pop just to get rid of the extra the Gristlebrand no matter what. But if he drew any artifact hate to deal with this Trinisphere, he's in a really good position. So if you attack with the Trinisphere and the Goblin, but you don't get Liquid Metal Coating, you go up to 4 mana. The treasure is gonna get blown up. So you're still effectively at 3 mana if you don't play a land this turn. So if you attack, you put him to 5, and we're gonna assume that Stefan doesn't do anything because he's kind of just played answers. Actually, if he's just played like one card a turn and it's just been answers, he could have like a big combo in hand. Like he could probably like potentially slam out like a Gristlebrand again if he has like Entomb or something. But if you get Liquid Metal Coating and you don't play it, next turn. But he's got so much land already in this game. Cracked Crypt. Okay, whoa. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. Okay, whoa. We're not there yet. So if you play, we're at the point where you've picked up Liquid Metal Coating. You can't cast it. The Treasure, Trinisphere, and Crypt are gonna go. So if they all go next turn, like let's assume that Stefan doesn't do anything but draw mana, right? If he just draws mana, he just passes the turn. On your next turn, if you don't play a land, I don't know. I think you have 3 cards in your hand at this point, including the Liquid Metal Coating. So it's one Liquid Metal Coating and 2 other cards, I think. So if you do play a land, then you play a land. If you don't play a land, then you're only at 3 mana. So you have to play Liquid Metal Coating, and then you start picking off his lands. But at that point, we've assumed that he's played a mana source, and he's already at 4 lands. But he only needs 3 to operate. So Liquid Metal Coating might be a bit too late here. But you needed to get the Tormod's Crypts, because he's threatening Gristlebrand here. Wait. Wait a minute. Hold on. So we're at 1541. Okay, wait. There was nothing you can get to win. Okay. So this is where you get the Tormod's Crypt, right? So you play Karn, get the Crypts. This is an illegal play. Oh, this is a Fury. Okay, so we don't have a Fury. This is an illegal play. You need to pay 3 mana for this Trinisphere. Or for the Tormod's Crypts. So this Tormod's Crypt should not be in play. Okay, so we were at 15. What time were we at? 1541. So we know we have Fury and Liquid Metal Coating, I think. I think I went back too far. Okay. No, you're still deciding. Yeah. Okay, so you might only have the 2 cards in hand. I think it's just Liquid Metal Coating and Fury, I think. Attack, make a treasure, yep. Oh, there's a load. Oh, okay, so that's the card that you drew, Lotus Fields. Yeah, so you get to +1 mana. And then you're passing, right? I think this is the mix-up. Hold on. Yeah, so you say go ahead, and then Crypts. The Trinisphere is blown up. Yeah, okay, so this is miscommunication here. So this fetchline should not be in the graveyard. Serenity should be in the graveyard. These should be... Oh, so no, he knows that. So this is during the upkeep? Yeah, this is... This is confusing now. So essentially, the only difference is that Serenity. No, this could be fair. Like, he could have left the fetched land. Like, if he said afterwards that, like, there was a mix-up, then yeah, but I don't think it changes his play. Like, you could have retroactively been like, oh, like, if you said, oh, I cracked it during your upkeep, like, retroactively, this would be the same board state as if you just do it. He entombs on end step? Okay, so this is just cheaty mode now. Because there's no way you're allowed to wait, am I missing something? Wait, what is Serenity's on upkeep, right? Yeah, at the beginning of your upkeep. Okay, so there's no way he can entomb. It is impossible for him to have entombed. So this is a major blunt, like a major play violation. Because no, okay, technically he could still do this. Like, if we're assuming that this is upkeep, the only difference right now would be that these three would be untapped. Right? So if he uses the 4th mana, then it is a play violation. Man, even with the amount of shaking on the table, the tripod did pretty good keeping it stable, eh? I wonder if we can also ask for the. Actually, I guess since I'm like decreasing the volume, the background music or the storm music doesn't really matter. All right, this is a play violation now. Now we're in like cheaty mode. Yeah, rub your hands all over his deck. Yeah! Yeah! And now you're all like, you don't touch my fucking cards. You fuck. You cheater! Okay. Oh, he's checking to see if there's no creatures in the graveyard. Does he use the 2 mana? So technically he should only have 1 mana available. So if we did the Trinisphere play, would it have done anything? He would only be at 2. So I don't think... So I think this might have been the correct play. I think getting the liquid metal coating... The only thing is... You're in like such a bad situation now. He has a Gristlebrand. Yeah, this is just rough. The double hate piece was just... That was fucked up. Bloodsaint Unmask. What's that Fury that we... Or the liquid metal coating that we all knew about. And a Fury. So... Can you cast Fury? Technically you can. Okay, so in the end, yes, technically it's still cheating, but he still has like the 1 mana open. So in general, I think in this board state, the correction would have been he just needed to crack the fetch. Yeah, I think that's how the board state would be corrected, is you crack the fetch and tap that for mana. So he would be no mana. Does Mono Red have any like way to sweep the board? And now he's just doing what Reanimator does. I think it was a Simian Spirit Guide on the top. Yep. So the end, leaning towards the end there is getting kind of loose, which is fine because it's just like all locals. Just I think we make sure that everything is, especially on camera, everything is good as gold. But you know, first time, I think it went pretty well. We had people's champions Hootie and James trying to show their hands, but completely missing. But you know, that's fine. We still got a lot of information out of it. Yeah. What should I do now? I didn't think it would take this long, but I guess commentary adds like a lot, especially if I'm pausing. But I don't know. I had a fun time. It was fun watching. I don't know if I have enough time to start a league. Um, I don't know. Does anyone have any YouTube content that we can watch? Any media submitters? Is there like something I can fill the time with? Uh, all of my YouTube recommendations are just CoffeeZilla stuff. Oh boy. Boy, oh boy. I guess if there's nothing else, maybe I'll just end the stream early. Maybe what I'll do is maybe I'll bring it's time for Delver. No, 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 no. You don't want that. You really don't. I really wish that the other guys that were watching, I think it was we had a new guy who was talking before, but oh no, it was Donut. We got Donut and Nick. I really wish that they clipped more. If you see me fuck up or like I don't know, do anything funny or I don't know, clip it please. Cuz then I can eventually take all of the clips and just edit it. if I ever fucking learn how to do that. If slash when slash there should be when slash if. Sorry. So yeah, I think maybe I'll try recording some stuff tomorrow because Dave is not there. And then maybe we do it we do this kind of thing tomorrow because it is I'm pretty sure it's like majority like different metagame. We do have a lot of the same players and people that overlap between Cardboard Classics and Enter the Battlefield, but I think we generally bring different decks and it's a variety. So maybe I'll try doing that. Maybe I'll try and like bring my own recording stuff. I'll record tomorrow. Is the Magic done? Yes, we just finished reviewing our Legacy Sunday at our Enter the Battlefield. So unfortunately, you've missed it. Um yeah, unfortunately. So I don't think I have enough time to start a Legacy League. If I played, the problem is like if I start a league now, I don't know if I'll have time to finish it. And I don't know if I want to play the deck now because I'll only have like enough time to play round 1. I would generally do it if I could play it at work, but it's extremely busy at work and I can't like I just have no time to play Moto at work. It's convocation time, so I have to check 400 students to make sure all their transcripts are all ready to go. Make sure everything's submitted and all that jazz. But yeah, so plan is try to record some stuff tomorrow, do the same thing on Wednesday, and then maybe I can streamline the commentary type to pause less so that it leaves more time to play more afterwards. Yeah, I think that like this is all like learning experience, right? Learning how to do all this stuff, learning how to streamline it and what works and what doesn't. But I'm pretty sure this format works, right? So yeah, I think because there's nothing else to talk about or nothing else to review, I think I will just end early, and then I will see you guys same time Wednesday. Actually, Donut, can you only watch around this time? I'm thinking maybe because it's so tight for me to get home and then start streaming, it's like really tight. Like the majority of the time, I end up like getting home and then immediately starting stream. So I'm like starving by the time I end. I'm wondering maybe if I start at like 7:30 and go a half hour longer. Oh, I see. Yeah. So I think what I might end up trying to do, maybe starting next week to see how it works, is 5 p.m. Eastern is about as early. 5 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, no, definitely. I won't. I definitely won't be like home by that. I usually get home around like 6:30 to 7 at Eastern at least. So I don't know. Maybe I'll start like half an hour later and then just go half an hour later. So 7:30, like 7:30 to 10:30 Eastern. Sometimes we stretch it to like 11. That leaves me enough to do my Genshin dailies afterwards and to eat. But yeah, if I sorry, not eat, because I can eat as soon as I get home. So like around like 6. Sick nasty, as the kids say. I don't think any kids are saying sick nasty. Oh boy, sick nasty. All right. Well, yeah. I guess that's it. Heard it once somewhere. You yeah okay. All right. I will see you guys Wednesday. We will have more legacy content to review then. Bye bye.